Beyond the darkness, beyond the human evolution, is Kahn, a genetically superior tyrant. Exiled to a barren planet, banished by a starship commander he is destined to destroy. Left for dead, he has survived.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up. There she is. There she is. Fire!
Shield's collapsing, Captain.
Can you defend your power?
A few shots, sir.
Not enough against their shields. The base is stubborn.
Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead.
I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me, marooned for all eternity, buried alive, buried alive. Sean! Sean!
At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Kahn.
And welcome to a new episode of the Movie Dawgs Show, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about Star Trek II, The Wrath of Kahn, universally praised as the best Star Trek movie that was ever made. Came out in 1982 and starred William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and Ricardo Montalban returning as Kahn. It was based off of the episode Space Seed. And I can't say no more about this movie. There's nothing wrong with this movie. Even the director's cut and the theatrical cuts, I love all of them. Introduced Kirstie Alley to the world. She went on to later on and played on Cheers and got high praises for doing that. This is where you have perfection just handed to you. Nicholas Meyer, who ended up directing the sixth film and co-wrote part of the fourth one, was at the helm of this. A lot of people, were very scared about this film when it came out because of the, spoiler alert, the death of Spock. And the director and filmmaker, Har Bennett, who was put in charge after the underperformance of the motion picture, he treated this like a television budget, and he did a great job of cutting costs and doing stuff to where they can keep the end of the film more of the big budget that they needed, because the ending of this film is amazing. But again, Ricardo Montalban played Kahn, so much different than he did on the original episode Space Seed. He did it with this absolute malice and hatred and psychotic fury that he was able to bring to this character. Again, I know science fiction was looked down upon even for Oscars, but Ricardo Montalban would have been worthy of getting at least nominated for this role. And you also find out that Kirk has a son in this film, and you also find out that, it's his birthday and he's 50 years old and he's contemplating, age and immortality. But this film has a lot of it. You got the Enterprise as basically a recruiting ship for the young people that are starting their career in Starfleet. The MacGuffin of the film basically is the Genesis mechanism or Genesis device that makes planets. You can see here, this is actually one of Pixar's first motion picture outings. By then it was owned by Lucasfilm. But again, there was so much quoted from this film and so much, you know, it's a dish best served cold, and it's very cold in space. That was cited by Ricardo Montalban's Kahn. You have, you know, so much great scenes and moments. Even though the cast was kind of cut down a little bit, they were still given their moments, and just everybody was able to shine. Again, you get to see the cunning of Captain Kirk at his best, and then, of course, you see the friendship between him and Spock, you know, how much it has grown and how close they've gotten and how everybody respected and, you know, care much for each other. Again, you get to see, you know, a young guard being passed the baton by the old guard, by watching the old guard and realizing this is why they're good. The soundtrack, oh my God, how can James Horner's soundtrack is so memorable. And when you listen to it, you remember the cues and you remember where they belong and what scene and what line is being said during the music. And especially when it comes to Battle of the Mantara Nebula, those last 20 minutes is just amazing. The action sequence, oh, you know, that's where all the budget went, was to make sure that the climax of this film, that, you know, you get to see the Enterprise getting pummeled here, and something you wouldn't think you would see. You got a space battle, finally, a really great space battle. And again, you know, Kahn and Kirk never really got to face off mano a mano, but, you know, they were two old men who, you know, have ships, and, you know, they're pursuing one another. Again, you know, there's, you know, it's life and death and sacrifice is really the big theme here. And of course, Kirk, you know, who has always tried to cheat death, you know, as he's trying to face his arch nemesis, who's just leaving a path of death and destruction because he wants to get a hold of the Genesis device. You know, you see here, he's like Captain Ahab in Moby Dick. He's allowed his hatred and his vengeance to really destroy his people, and you never really had a chance to, you know, try to make the best of things, to try to, as you can see, you know, sacrifice and is big when it comes to this. Spock realizes that the ship is damaged and he can't get away. The Genesis device is about to explode, and he knew that there was only one way to do it, and he sacrificed himself to save his friends. And I think that if they had ended the series altogether with this movie, I think a lot of fans would have been fine. I know a lot of fans were giving out hate mail when they were rumored of, which a lot of people think Gene Roddenberry sent out the rumors that Spock was going to die in this, and that's why they made it look like he died at the beginning to throw the fans off. But again, the Battle of the Mantara Nebula and all those space battles that's in this film was just so amazing. And it was just everything that a Star Trek movie had, like a great story with action, and it had a meaning to it, a theme, you know, as I said, life and death and discovery and finding one's self-worth. You know, it's the perfection of filmmaking that, you know, it's kind of slacking a little bit, or lacking in areas, especially in science fiction, because everybody wants science fiction to be just big bombs and explosions, which this movie did have, but it also had a lot of philosophical thoughts to it. Of course, Kahn and his people are doomed because of his vengeance. Again, I mean, when you see here Spock sacrificing himself, and then that scene where that beautiful explosion that ILM did right here. Again, all the music and everything, the tension and the drama. It was just all made it worthwhile watching this film. I watch this film at least once or twice a year. As you can see here, Kirk's trying to save his friend, and then they can't, they're separated by glass, and here Spock is saying his goodbyes. Of course, we all know that there was a little dealing with McCoy where it kind of a sequel set up, but a really cool funeral scene with Amazing Grace playing in the background, mixed with James Horner's wonderful score. I can never ever do it justice when it comes to talking about that score. I have it on vinyl, and it's just an amazing, amazing score. But of course, when the ending of the film, when you see the coffin, a lot of people were like, I can remember my dad in the theater, because my mom was a big Star Trek fan. He wasn't, but he was in there watching it with us. And I can remember vividly, he goes, well, there's your sequel set up. And he knew it right away. But again, there's just so much with music, the score, the story, the screenplay, the direction, and the acting. This was one of the finest you're ever going to get out of Star Trek. And I hope that, there's great Star Trek movies, there's bad Star Trek movies, but there's always been, and that beautiful shot there on the Genesis planet. And of course, Tale of Two Cities was also kind of brought into this to, foretold, how Kirk feels. And of course, being 50 years old, and what happens and what he sees this new planet being born out of the wake of destruction and death, he feels young, as you can see what it says there. But again, folks, I can't praise this movie enough. It's just so wonderful. And if you're just discovering Star Trek, I say started with the original series, but definitely watch this movie. It's so worthwhile. It's just the epitome of everything. All right, folks, that's all the time I got here on the Movie Dawgs Show. Thanks for watching, and please keep on watching.